Why cavemen had perfect teeth we don't. Let's take a journey, not into the future, but deep into the past, to a time before toothbrushes, toothpaste, mouthwash, dental clinics, or even floss. To a time when humans lived in caves, hunted their own food, and hadn't even heard of the word dentist. And yet, they had perfect teeth. Yes, you heard that right. Archaeological studies and examinations of ancient skulls show that our primitive ancestors often had wide dental arches, straight teeth, and virtually no cavities, no braces, no fillings, no fluoride treatments, yet far healthier smiles than we do today. So the question is, how? Let's begin with what they ate. Cavemen didn't snack on sugary cereal, processed crackers, or sip soda. Their diets were rich in whole foods: meat, fish, nuts, seeds, fruits, and vegetables, foods that required chewing, real chewing. This consistent use of their jaws helped their facial bones develop properly: wider palates, stronger jaws, and more room for teeth to grow in straight. Unlike today, where our soft, processed diets have weakened our jaws and narrowed our mouths. But it wasn't just what they ate, it was how they lived. Cavemen breathed through their noses, not their mouths. They didn't have allergies, chronic congestion, or pollution that encouraged mouth breathing. Mouth breathing, especially in children, leads to narrow faces, poor posture, misaligned teeth, and even behavioral issues. Nose breathing promotes better oxygen intake, jaw development, and yes, straighter teeth. Let's talk about sugar. Refined sugar didn't even exist in their world. The sugars in modern diets are not just abundant, they're hidden in nearly everything we consume, from salad dressings to protein bars, and sugar is the #1 enemy of your teeth. It feeds harmful bacteria, produces acid, and leads to decay. No wonder cavities are so common today. And then there's breastfeeding. Ancient babies weren't bottle-fed with soft nipples. Breastfeeding helped stimulate proper jaw growth and tongue movement, early factors that shape the development of a child's dental and skeletal structure. Many modern children miss out on this entirely, contributing to the rise in orthodontic issues. Now, I'm not saying we should all return to cave life, but I am saying we need to understand that our teeth, just like the rest of our bodies, are shaped by the environment we give them, the food we eat, the air we breathe, the habits we build. The culture we live in has disconnected us from nature, and our mouths are paying the price. The truth is, straight teeth, wide jaws, and healthy mouths aren't purely genetic. They're environmental, they're behavioral, and they're within our power to protect, if we're willing to return to some ancient wisdom and apply it to our modern lives. So maybe the cavemen had it right after all, not with their clubs, but with their diet, their breath, and their connection to nature. They didn't need a dentist, because they lived in a way that naturally supported dental health. But us, we have to choose. Do we continue down the path of convenience, sugar, and shortcuts, or do we go back, not to the caves, but to the truth of how we were made to live? The answer may be in our mouths. Ancient diets promoted jaw strength and proper dental development. Unlike today's soft, processed foods, cavemen didn't have access to processed foods, packaged snacks, or industrial agriculture. Their diets were made up of raw, whole, and natural foods like meats, fibrous vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. These foods required real chewing, hard chewing, engaging the jaw muscles constantly from a young age. This repetitive, natural motion stimulated proper development of the jaw, widened the dental arches, and allowed teeth to come in straight with enough room. Today's diets are vastly different: soft breads, cooked cereals, mashed potatoes, pre-cut and pre-cooked meals require almost no effort to chew. Babies are fed purees long past the time their jaws need resistance. Children grow up without using the muscles that shape their faces, jaws, and mouths. As a result, their faces don't grow forward and wide as they should. Instead, the jaw remains underdeveloped, leading to crowding, crooked teeth, and narrower airways. The natural resistance built into ancient diets also acted like a workout for the mouth. Every bite of tough meat or root vegetable gave the face and jaw the feedback it needed to grow strong and balanced. In contrast, our modern convenience food culture, dominated by soft textures, sugar, and empty calories, has dulled this critical function. The effects show up not only in teeth, but in the entire facial structure. Studies of skulls from ancient humans show broad faces, straight teeth, and full arches. No wisdom teeth impactions, no narrow palates, no overbites or underbites. These features weren't exceptions. They were the norm. All of it came down to diet and lifestyle. Cavemen chewed their food for survival, and that act alone shaped the harmony of their mouths. Modern orthodontics can align teeth, but it doesn't fix the root issue. Our jaws are shrinking because they're underused. Even children with healthy diets today often don't chew enough because their food is overprocessed and too soft. And so, their faces are shaped not by genetics but by environment. Furthermore, the lack of tough chewing has ripple effects. Poor jaw development leads to mouth breathing, which causes further deformation. Sleep quality suffers, tongue posture changes. The entire cascade begins with the shift away from nature's original plan, chewing to grow. In ancestral times, food wasn't just fuel, it was form. It trained the mouth and the muscles to develop properly. The interaction between hard food, muscle effort, and bone growth was a key part of human evolution. Now, we've abandoned that in favor of ease and speed. Children are growing up with underdeveloped jaws, crooked smiles, and crowded teeth, not because they're just born that way, but because we have changed what and how they eat. This isn't about nostalgia for a primitive past. It's about recognizing a biological reality. Our ancestors had no dental specialists, but their diet kept their mouths healthy by default. They didn't need correction because their food provided the foundation for balance. Modern food, while more abundant, lacks that essential role of shaping the body through use. When form follows function and function is neglected, form collapses. Cavemen practiced natural nose breathing, which supported facial structure and dental alignment. Cavemen didn't suffer from crowded teeth, overbites, or narrow palates not only because of their diet, but because of the way they breathed. In the natural rhythm of ancient life, breathing through the nose was the default. The air they breathed was unfiltered, clean, and moved through the passages it was designed to through the nose, which humidifies, filters, and regulates the air before it reaches the lungs. This method of breathing plays a far more significant role in dental and facial development than most people realize. Nose breathing places the tongue in its natural resting position, pressed against the roof of the mouth. This pressure encourages the upper jaw, or maxilla, to expand laterally as a child grows, giving the teeth room to erupt properly and creating a broad, well-aligned dental arch. When a child breathes through the mouth instead, the tongue rests low, and the jaw begins to develop downward and backward instead of forward and outward. The result is a narrower face, a recessed chin, and often dental crowding. This is not the result of genetic mutation, but of functional adaptation. The human face is highly responsive to the forces it experiences during growth. The pressures from correct tongue posture and nasal breathing help shape the palate, support the sinuses, and create the proper alignment of teeth. Without these inputs, the facial structure develops incorrectly, leading to modern orthodontic problems that cavemen simply didn't experience. Environmental and lifestyle shifts have led to a dramatic increase in mouth breathing. Factors such as chronic nasal congestion, allergies, poor posture, pollution, and even bottle feeding contribute to the breakdown of the natural nasal breathing habit. Children with stuffy noses become mouth breathers by necessity, and once this pattern sets in, it becomes a habit. This habit is subtle but powerful. It changes the shape of the jaw, alters sleep patterns, reduces oxygen intake, and contributes to a cascade of health issues, including crooked teeth. Mouth breathing also dries the mouth, reducing the production of saliva, which is essential for neutralizing bacteria and protecting tooth enamel. A dry mouth becomes a breeding ground for decay and gum disease. Cavemen didn't have these issues because their bodies functioned in harmony with their environment. They breathed clean air through their noses, chewed hard food that kept their jaws strong, and maintained correct tongue posture unconsciously. Their faces were shaped by function, not dysfunction. Their airways were open and unobstructed, allowing them to sleep deeply, oxygenate properly, and develop with the proportions nature intended. The act of breathing is so automatic that we overlook how deeply it affects our form. Yet studies on ancient skulls and modern tribes untouched by industrialization show consistent patterns. Those who breathe through their noses have broader faces, more prominent cheekbones, and straight teeth. They rarely snore or suffer from sleep apnea. In contrast, modern children raised in urban, sedentary, allergen, heavy environments often grow up mouth-breathing, with soft diets and poor tongue posture. Their faces become narrow, their teeth crooked, and their health compromised in ways that are now normalized but entirely preventable. Even something as seemingly small as how we sleep influences facial development. Cavemen slept without pillows, likely on harder surfaces, allowing their spines and jaws to stay aligned. Today's soft mattresses and high pillows push the head forward and encourage open mouth posture during sleep. Over time, this reinforces poor breathing habits and contributes to malocclusion, underbites, overbites, and more. Our ancestors didn't have orthodontists not because they lacked technology, but because their bodies didn't require intervention. Their habits aligned with nature's blueprint. The relationship between breathing and facial development is now being rediscovered by researchers, dentists, orthodontists, and myofunctional therapists. Children are being taught to keep their mouths closed, breathe through their noses, and practice correct tongue posture. These seemingly simple interventions are reversing the effects of generations of dysfunction. The science is catching up to what nature has always known. Function shapes form. When function is compromised, form deteriorates. Even elite athletes in military programs are retraining breathing habits to improve performance, endurance, and focus. Why? Because oxygen is life, and the way we breathe determines how efficiently we use it. Cavemen didn't have performance coaches or biofeedback devices. They simply lived in a way that allowed the body to regulate itself optimally. Today, reclaiming nasal breathing is not just about dental health. It's about overall vitality. It's about rediscovering an ancient secret hiding in plain sight. Modern dentistry often focuses on straightening teeth without addressing the underlying functional causes. Braces push teeth into place, but if the jaw is too narrow or the tongue remains in the wrong position, relapse is common. Cavemen didn't need braces because the pressures from their breathing and chewing developed the face holistically. Their form followed natural function from the womb through adulthood. We've moved so far from that natural path that we now consider crooked teeth normal, when they are actually a sign of environmental mismatch. Reconnecting with our primal blueprint doesn't mean living in caves. It means aligning our modern lives with the principles that built us in the first place. Understanding the power of nose breathing and its role in shaping the face is a critical step in that journey. Lack of refined sugars in prehistoric diets prevented cavities and tooth decay. Refined sugar is one of the most significant differences between modern diets and those of our ancient ancestors. Cavemen had no access to table sugar, high fructose corn syrup, candy, soda, pastries, or even processed bread. Their only source of sweetness came from occasional seasonal fruits or honey, and those were rare and difficult to acquire. As a result, their teeth were not constantly bathed in fermentable carbohydrates. The bacteria in our mouths thrive on sugar. When these bacteria digest sugar, they produce acid as a byproduct, and that acid wears down tooth enamel, leading to cavities and tooth decay. This process is entirely modern in its widespread impact. Ancient skulls, even those thousands of years old, often reveal minimal signs of dental caries. Their teeth, while worn from use, remained structurally sound and free from decay. The modern food industry has woven sugar into nearly every category of product. Breakfast cereals marketed to children can contain as much sugar per serving as a candy bar. Yogurt, sauces, soups, salad dressings, granola bars, all contain hidden sugars. The average person consumes more sugar in a single day than a caveman might have consumed in several months. This steady exposure keeps harmful bacteria active, feeding on sugar throughout the day and night. Cavemen didn't sip sugary drinks, and they didn't graze on snacks all day long. Their eating patterns were more intermittent, and their mouths had time to recover between meals. Modern snacking habits, particularly with sugary foods, mean our mouths remain in a constant state of acid attack. Not only does refined sugar harm enamel, but it also disrupts the balance of oral bacteria. A healthy mouth contains a wide variety of microbial species that coexist peacefully. Sugar consumption throws off that balance, allowing aggressive, acid-producing bacteria to dominate. These same bacteria can infiltrate the gums, leading to inflammation, gingivitis, and eventually periodontal disease. The rise of gum disease is closely tied to our modern sugar addiction. Ancient humans didn't floss or use antiseptic mouthwashes, but their gums were generally healthy because their oral biome remained stable, not overwhelmed by refined carbohydrates. The texture and nature of food also played a role. Cavemen ate fibrous plants and chewy meats that naturally cleaned the teeth during eating. Their diets were high in minerals and low in cavity-causing substances. Today, soft, sticky, sugar-laden foods cling to the surfaces of our teeth, creating the perfect environment for decay. Even foods marketed as healthy, like fruit juices or dried fruits, can be highly concentrated sources of sugar that linger on teeth and feed harmful bacteria. Our ancestors, lacking these concentrated sugar sources, simply never faced these challenges. The impact of sugar extends beyond the mouth. Chronic inflammation, insulin resistance, and metabolic disorders all tie back to excessive sugar intake. These systemic conditions can also affect oral health, creating a feedback loop where poor diet leads to poor health, which in turn compromises dental function and resilience. Cavemen, who lived off the land, consumed diets rich in omega-3 fats, collagen, fat-soluble vitamins like K2, and minerals like magnesium and phosphorus, nutrients essential for maintaining strong bones and teeth. These nutrients support remineralization of enamel and keep the jaw bones dense and healthy. Sugar not only displaces these vital nutrients but also depletes the body of minerals as it is metabolized, further weakening the structural integrity of teeth. In the context of childhood development, sugar consumption becomes even more concerning. Children today are exposed to sugar from the time they're toddlers, through fruit snacks, juice boxes, flavored milk, cereals, and desserts. Their developing teeth are more porous and susceptible to decay. Dental caries is one of the most common chronic diseases in children, despite being almost entirely preventable. In contrast, skeletal remains of prehistoric children show a remarkable lack of cavities, indicating a vastly different early environment. This difference isn't due to better hygiene or advanced dental tools. It's a reflection of diet and daily habits. Dentistry today is largely focused on treating the symptoms of decay, fillings, crowns, root canals, but these are all reactions to a lifestyle problem. Cavemen didn't need fluoride treatments or cavity drills because they weren't fighting against a food system that batters their enamel daily. Their teeth, shaped by hard use and protected by a naturally supportive diet, were resilient. In contrast, modern teeth are constantly under siege, not because they are weaker by design, but because they are overwhelmed by what we put into our mouths. Some indigenous populations today who still live traditionally and eat whole, unprocessed foods continue to show this same resilience. Their teeth are strong, their jaws well-formed, and dental decay rare. Yet when these populations begin to adopt modern Western diets high in sugar and processed foods, dental disease skyrockets. This pattern has been observed across continents and cultures. The cause and effect relationship is undeniable. Understanding the role of sugar in oral health is not just about avoiding candy. It's about recognizing that our entire food system is built around substances our bodies were never meant to process in such quantities. The story of perfect caveman teeth is, in many ways, the story of what happens when we honor our biological design. Sugar disrupts that design at every level, from enamel to microbiome to metabolic pathways. While technology may try to repair the damage, the root cause remains deeply woven into our modern lifestyle. Cavemen didn't avoid dental disease by luck or superior genes. They avoided it because their environment supported the natural health of their teeth from the inside out. Breastfeeding and natural weaning guided healthy jaw and tongue development in early life. One of the most overlooked factors in the development of healthy jaws and straight teeth is the way a child is fed during infancy and early childhood. Cavemen didn't have bottles, formula, pacifiers, or sippy cups. Their infants were breastfed for extended periods, and weaning happened naturally with solid, fibrous foods. Breastfeeding is not just about nutrition. It plays a mechanical and developmental role in shaping the mouth, jaw, and facial structure. When a baby breastfeeds, the action requires complex muscle coordination involving the tongue, cheeks, and jaw. The sucking motion while nursing stimulates the growth of the maxilla, encourages forward jaw development, and supports the alignment of the upper and lower dental arches. The tongue presses upward against the palate during feeding, helping the roof of the mouth to widen properly. This ensures that there is enough space for all the teeth to erupt without crowding. In contrast, bottle feeding and the use of artificial nipples change the sucking mechanics. The motion is shallower, requiring less effort, and often promotes incorrect tongue positioning, low in the mouth instead of high against the palate. Over time, this can lead to a narrower upper arch, a higher palate, and less space for teeth to erupt properly. These children are more likely to develop mouth-breathing habits, improper swallowing patterns, and require orthodontic intervention later in life. The difference between breastfeeding and bottle feeding may appear subtle, but in terms of muscular development and skeletal shaping, it is profound. Cavemen didn't need myofunctional therapy or early orthodontic screenings because their children engaged in natural, biologically appropriate feeding that supported ideal oral and facial growth. Weaning foods also played a crucial role. Ancient children transitioned from milk to tough, fibrous foods that required chewing. The very act of chewing hard textures, raw vegetables, dried meats, nuts, and roots, help to continue the development of the jaw, stimulate saliva flow, and promote strong oral muscles. Today, babies and toddlers are often given soft, processed purees that require no chewing. As a result, their jaws don't receive the signals they need to grow to their full potential. The muscles remain underdeveloped, and the bone structure follows suit. Without proper chewing forces, the jaws grow narrow, dental arches shrink, and teeth come in crowded or misaligned. Caveman babies, from infancy through childhood, use their mouths in the way nature intended. From deep, effortful breastfeeding to grinding and chewing whole foods, each stage of development built upon the last, resulting in robust jawbones, wide palates, and properly spaced teeth. Modern conveniences, though helpful in many ways, have disrupted this natural progression. The widespread use of pacifiers and thumb sucking further complicates jaw development. These habits can distort the shape of the palate, push teeth out of alignment, and encourage poor oral posture. In ancient times, children didn't have plastic pacifiers soothing them to sleep. They nursed when they needed comfort and transitioned to chewing foods that exercise their jaws. Today's reliance on artificial soothing methods has replaced biologically normal activities with substitutes that inadvertently hinder healthy growth. Another crucial aspect of early development is tongue posture. A baby who breastfeeds learns to keep their tongue on the roof of the mouth, a position that continues into later life and supports proper oral function. A bottle-fed baby often adopts a low tongue posture and mouth breathing. These subtle changes alter the entire course of facial development. The tongue is a powerful force in the mouth, and its position acts as a natural retainer that shapes the upper arch. When it rests high and wide against the palate, it acts like a scaffold, helping to expand and support the shape of the dental arch. When it rests low or forward, the arch narrows and the airway can become restricted. This early patterning also influences speech, sleep, and even cognitive development. Caveman children, growing up in a context that encouraged nasal breathing, strong jaw use, and proper tongue posture, experienced optimal development in ways modern children often do not. The environment dictated the structure. Today's children often need speech therapy, palate expanders, and braces, all downstream interventions that stem from a breakdown in functional inputs during early life. The mechanical act of eating, chewing, and breathing plays a direct role in shaping the bones of the face. This truth is as ancient as humanity itself. There is also a cultural factor. In ancient societies, child rearing was more physically demanding, but also more in tune with biological rhythms. Babies were carried close to their mothers, fed on demand, and introduced to real food when they were developmentally ready. Today, schedules, convenience foods, and artificial feeding tools have altered these patterns, sometimes in ways that seem harmless, but are actually at odds with how the human body was designed to grow. The modern world has replaced functional activity with passive consumption, and the results are evident in our dental arches, breathing patterns, and skeletal structure. Understanding how breastfeeding and natural weaning contribute to dental health is essential not only for parents, but for the wider health community. These early years set the foundation for lifelong oral and facial health. Cavemen didn't need braces, expanders, or extractions because their children were raised with inputs that promoted strong growth from the beginning. Their faces were shaped by what they did not Just by their genes, they chewed, they sucked deeply while nursing, they used their tongues correctly, and their jaws grew wide and strong as a result. What was once normal has now become rare, not because the body has changed, but because the environment has. Modern lifestyle habits, not genetics, are the main cause of crooked teeth and dental issues. Modern culture has come to accept crooked teeth, narrow jaws, and dental crowding as genetic or inevitable, but in truth, these conditions are largely the result of environmental influences and lifestyle choices. The human body was designed for harmony and function, and that includes the mouth and facial structure. Cavemen lived in alignment with the conditions that allowed their bodies to develop properly. They ate natural, unprocessed food that required vigorous chewing. They breathed through their noses. They breastfed their infants, and they engaged in physical activity that supported posture and airway health. These environmental factors interacted with their genetics to produce wide jaws, well-aligned teeth, and balanced facial features. In contrast, modern environments have shifted so drastically that natural development of the face and mouth has been disrupted at every stage of life. One of the most significant influences on facial development is the use of muscles. Just as muscles shape the body, they also shape the face. The tongue, jaw, lips, and cheeks all exert pressure on the bones of face as a person grows. When these muscles are used correctly and consistently, through nasal breathing, proper swallowing, and hard chewing, the face grows forward and outward, creating space for the teeth and maintaining balance. When muscles are underused or misused, the face grows downward and becomes narrow. This change is not genetic drift, but a functional adaptation to new conditions. A child who breathes through the mouth, eats soft food, and has low tongue posture will not develop the same facial structure as a child raised with correct habits. The muscles, bones, and airway adapt to the input they receive. The way we sit, sleep, and move also affects jaw development. Poor posture, especially forward head posture caused by constant screen use, changes the position of the jaw and compresses the airway. This can lead to tongue dysfunction, mouth breathing, and poor oral habits that affect dental alignment. In ancient times, people moved constantly, engaged with the natural environment, and used their bodies in dynamic ways. These movements supported good posture and kept the face aligned with the spine. Today, sedentary lifestyles, artificial lighting, and digital stimulation have created new patterns of behavior that subtly but powerfully reshape the body and the face. Even the structure of the home environment plays a role. Indoor air quality, allergens, and lack of outdoor time contribute to chronic nasal congestion in children, which leads to mouth breathing and disrupts facial growth. Cavemen lived in open air, surrounded by clean, natural environments that encouraged clear nasal passages and robust immune systems. Modern children often spend the majority of their time indoors, exposed to allergens, dry air, and pollutants that make nose breathing more difficult. These environmental constraints push the body to adapt in unhealthy ways, affecting the way the mouth and jaw develop. Nutrition also plays a foundational role. It's not only about avoiding sugar, but about providing the nutrients that support bone growth and tissue health. Vitamins A, D, K2, and minerals like calcium and magnesium are essential for the formation of strong bones and teeth. Cavemen got these nutrients from organ meats, wild caught fish, sun exposure, and mineral-rich water. Today, many diets are deficient in these critical elements due to processed foods, soil depletion, and lack of sunlight. Without these nutrients, the bones of the jaw may not develop fully, even if other habits are in place. It's a complex interaction between nutrition, function, and environment. The plasticity of the human face means it will grow in response to the forces placed upon it. This is both a warning and a promise. If we continue to expose children to the modern conditions that cause dysfunction, we will continue to see generations of young people with compromised airways, misaligned teeth, and chronic health issues linked to poor craniofacial development. But if we begin to shift the environment back toward one that supports natural development, the body can respond. Orthotropics, myofunctional therapy, and airway-focused orthodontics are all emerging fields that recognize the environmental roots of crooked teeth and are working to correct them not by force, but by restoring the function that guides form. The story of crooked teeth is not one of fate, but of forgotten foundations. The wisdom of ancient living still holds relevance today. What has changed is not our genetic blueprint, but the world we grow up in. Cavemen lived without braces or surgeries because their bodies were shaped by the natural forces they engaged with daily. Their environment reinforced health by default. In today's world, we must be intentional about restoring those conditions, encouraging nose breathing, promoting early breastfeeding, offering real food with texture, limiting processed sugar, and supporting physical movement and good posture. These small shifts can dramatically influence the development of a child's face and prevent the need for invasive dental correction in the future. The belief that modern dental problems are purely inherited leads many to overlook the functional causes behind them, yet time and again, when populations shift from traditional lifestyles to industrialized ones, dental problems appear within a generation. This transformation is not slow, it's immediate and visible. Children who adopt modern habits from birth begin to show signs of facial narrowing, dental crowding, and airway problems before they even reach adolescence. Their ancestors, even just a few decades earlier, displayed wide faces, healthy smiles, and balanced bone structure. The difference lies in the inputs they received during the most critical years of growth.